Hi friends and my dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Civil with Sudhi. Good morning everyone. So already we have completed, so we are ongoing courses of RCC. So we have completed class 6 and this is class 7. If you want to see our all the videos, right, so please click on the just above the I button of this video, you will get all the videos. Okay, so we have completed the 6th class and today's class is very important. That is what are the design methods and what are their philosophies. Okay, 1 minute. Yes. Okay, so what are the design methods in not only in what are the design methods in RCC, not only in RCC or it may be in steel structure also. This method they will follow in steel structure also. Okay, let me start today's class. Welcome to our YouTube channel Civil with Sudhir. Please, if you like our videos, if you just interested in the any type of changes in our video, please comment me in the comment box so that I can make the changes for all of you. Okay, first of all understand, so what is the design consideration or aim of structural design, right? So structural design, so what do you mean by structural design? First of all understand, so what are the different structural members? I think you know, right? Coming to the different structures, we have a residential, right? We have residential buildings, commercial buildings, we have residential, commercial, as well as different institutional building. So all in this, okay, there are plenty of different type of structures, but in there is a common different structures or common members, we can say. Those members are, those members we call it as the structural members. Okay, let me write here. You know, there is a beam, right? Second one is slab, right? Footing, okay, and fourth one is retaining wall. Okay, there are plenty of different members. So what is the structural design aim? So what should be the aim? So aim is, first point, adequate safety. First of all, you have to remember always, if you are designing, first safety has to be considered, right? What are the users, okay, what type of users they are using, and what type of safety you are giving, that is in terms of what? Strength, stability and structural integrity. Structural integrity means, for example, same beam, same column or same type of building constructed somewhere, right? You have to take that case study and you have to study what type of different members they have used, what is the actual condition of the building, what is the durability, what, all those things you have to study in the structural integrity, right? That is about the adequate safety. Remember this point, very very important for design considerations. Second one is adequate serviceability, right? Now you know there is a safety, but how the users are using, okay, after using for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, what is the condition of the building, okay, whether any durability properties or whether any settlement problem or anything that is related to the building. So that should be the you have to study very carefully while selecting the or while designing the different structural members. Okay, so these 2 points are very very important. And third point are economy, right? Economy means the cost of the structure as well as the project, right? Or in individual projects or individual member. So what is the different material you are using, energy, how much it is consuming, right? So all these points you have to consider. Three major important point: one is adequate safety, second one is adequate serviceability, how you are how the users are using and how you have to take care about that one, and the economy. So what is the economy? How much you can reduce the cost of the material as well as the labor. Okay, so this is about the design consideration or aim of structural design. Next is design methods. Design methods, or we can say philosophies. Design philosophies for RCC structure. Okay, RCC structure or steel structure both are same, right? These methods, I am not saying the inside. Okay, first method is working stress design. Second method is ultimate load design. Third method, limit state design. Fourth one is performance based. Let me give a quick introduction about these four methods. This is one of the oldest method, right? This is one of the oldest method, right? After this working stress method, what are the disadvantages, right? So those disadvantages can be removed by an ultimate load design method. This is also one of the oldest method, right? Present this method they are using limit state method. Present everywhere they are using limit state method. What about this performance based means? This is in under research, right? This method is under research, so they are doing some research. What are the different limitations in limit state method, how they can be overcome using the another method, that is the performance based method. So presently we are using this one, limit state method. I think you all know, still I will explain you in a simple way. Okay, next one, first method, that is the working stress design. So what is the name of this working stress? Let me understand. So this method is very traditional. Okay, I will tick here. This method is very traditional. Traditional means how? See, I will explain you in the upcoming video. See how much stress you are taking, or this concrete. Okay, second point is concrete and steel together behaves elastically. Right, elastic. Okay, elastic means elastic and plastic. There are two different properties, elastic and plastic. Elastic means when you remove the load, what will happen? It will regain its shape and size as well as the area. So that we call it as what? Elastic material. They are considering as concrete and steel together behaves elastically, but in practical it is not possible, right? It will not be achievable, right? You can't achieve both at the time. Concrete is not elastic, always remember, concrete is not elastic, but they are considering concrete is an elastic. Okay, remember these points, very important. Just understand this one, right? If anyone asks you, so what is working stress, just remember this is traditional method. Both concrete and steel are behave like an elastically. It is assumed that the concrete elastic, just I have told you, right? They are assuming that the concrete is elastic, but it is not possible, and it is not practically, it is not. Okay, so the basic of this method is the permissible stress, right? Permissible stress for concrete and steel not exceeded in any worst combination of working load. Okay, let me write here, working load. Working load means, for example, you are taking different type of loads, right? So only, for example, on the beam, what is the direct load? Okay, except other loads, if you are taking direct loads, only direct loads, or you are not including all the loads, right? If you included all the loads, that is an ultimate load. If you are taking only simple or one single load, that should be an working load on the any type of structure. Okay, working load means what? Actual load, right? Actual, but we will always increase the values or loads, that should be an ultimate one. So this point they are telling that the permissible stress for concrete and steel not exceeded in when any worst combination of working load means, for example, if the working load is 20, right, in concrete as well as steel, it should not be more than that, it should be in less than the 20. Okay, that should be the permissible stress. The meaning of permissible stress means it should be in that value only, it should not be increases. If that increases, the structure will be fail, right? So this is the one of the best important point you have to remember, that is about the working stress design. Okay, so you have to remember. Next one, the section are designed to assuming the material obeys Hooke's law. Okay, let me write here. I will erase this one. Wait for a minute. Okay. So what do you mean by Hooke's law? Very simple. Hooke's law is, right, you know, that is it is a definition of what, where stress is proportional to strain up to some limit or within the elastic limit, we can say that is an Hooke's law, right? So stress versus strain should be, sorry, stress equals to strain, right? If you draw a graph, you can remember this one. The diagram already I explained you. If you want, please click on the I button in the playlist. You will get the all the video and you can watch it there, right? Previous class, please watch the previous class, then only you can understand this one, because it is a continuation part. Okay, so stress is proportional to strain or stress is equal to strain, that should be obeys Hooke's law. This point is also very important. So what are the different takeaways in this method? Only remember one point, whole working stress design is depends on which one, elastic theory, or what we can say, this is an combination of elastic material or elastic behavior theory. They are depend on elastic behavior theory. Okay, next one. For understanding this one, I will draw here. Consider this is a beam, right? Take a beam. This is a beam, right? And this is B. This is the breadth of the beam, right? And this is the overall depth of the beam, right? And what is this? Can anyone tell me? Who all are watching this video? Can you please comment me in the comment box? What is this dotted line? How many of you answer this one? Let me think. This is called neutral axis. So what do you mean by neutral axis? Where stress and strain is zero. That point we call it as what? Neutral axis, where stress as well as strain should be zero. Now you can see there is an main bars, right? So this one, what we call, this is what, all this one we call it as AST. What do you mean by AST? AST is nothing but area of steel in tension, correct? Area of steel in tension. Now consider, we have considered the beam with B and D. While designing, right, for understanding the concept, we have to draw two different diagrams, that is strain diagram and stress diagram, right? You can see here strain and stress. So this is effective depth. Okay, let me draw one line, another line. So what is this one? This is the effective depth of the beam, right? From extreme fiber top to the middle of the reinforcement. That we call it as an what? Effective depth. Now if you want to draw the strain diagram, right, please be careful and please understand very clearly. Now consider, if you are drawing the strain diagram, okay, I will do one thing, I will draw these dotted lines so that you can understand easily. Okay, from top I am taking these lines and from the bottom also I will draw one line here like this. Okay, now this force we can say, right, at neutral axis, what, the neutral axis, the stress and strain should be zero, right? This point is very clear. Next, above the neutral axis, right, I am just hatching this portion, right, this one here, what will take only concrete strain. We will neglect here what, about the steel strain, we will neglect here. So we will write this one is sigma C, right? It will get like this, right, strain diagram. But at the bottom, right, below the neutral axis, what we will consider? We will consider steel, and what we will ignore? We will ignore the what, concrete strain. Okay, the diagram will come like this, right? of ST, means the forces will go like this, right? So this is about the strain, very very important and simple to understand, right? Here you are considering concrete, here you are considering steel, here you are neglecting steel, here you are neglecting what? The concrete forces, means there is a strain presence in that in this portion also at the bottom, but we are neglecting, right? This is about the what? This diagram, right? This is about the this diagram, right? Next one is, that is a, let me see the stress diagram. Okay, take a line, right? And it will come like this, right? You can see sigma CBC here, right? Sigma CBC, and sigma, this is sigma CBC, and this portion, right? This is about what? The sigma ST. Okay, and this one is tension forces, and this is what? Compression, the total portion, but we will consider at this portion, this is an compression. Okay, now this is what? The stress diagram, right? Means when you take the beam, right, and you apply the load here, right, where the maximum stresses will occur due to the load, right? Due to the load, at the top only we will get what? The maximum stresses, not at the bottom, right? So we will get compression here and we will get tension at the bottom. For example, okay, I will do one more thing. Okay, I will draw the beam so you can understand easily. Consider this is beam, right? This is a longitudinal beam, and if you apply the load directly, how it behave? It will come like this. Okay, it will come like this only, right? So what you can say, this is compression, and at the bottom what you got? That is a tension one. Okay, so that this diagram I have drawn here. So this is compression and this is tension. Okay, so the difference between, okay, from the point where the compression or application of compression stresses to the tension stresses, that we call it as J into do, that is we call it as an lever arm. Okay, let me now discuss about the B is width of the section, D is depth of section, and small d is the effective depth of the section. AST is the area of steel in tension, right? And sigma CBC, very important point. So what is sigma CBC? Permissible compressive stress in the concrete. Permissible means the stresses in the stresses in the concrete should not be increased, or it should not be more than this value. And sigma ST, that is the permissible tensile stress in the steel, right? That you can see here. And C is the total force. 1 minute. C is the total force of compression and T is the total force of tension. So J into D is an lever arm from here to here. Okay, I will draw here, you can understand. From the point of application of this one, we call it as an lever arm. Okay, clear? Clear? Can I go to the next one? So lever arm is defined as an distance between the point of application of compression force and the force of tension. This is important one. Remember, always remember, because they may ask the question. Now you understand the strain diagram and stress diagram, right? So what are the assumption in working stress method? So section which is plane before bending remains plane after bending. This is important. How can I show you? Okay, let me search something. Okay, I got the purse for your better understanding. Okay, I think you are visible what I am saying. The first point, I am giving an example how you have to understand practically. A section which is plane before bending remains plane after bending. For example, this is beam. I think it is visible. This purse is what? This is beam, right? So this is your front line, right? This is your front, right? This is front. and this is stop. Okay, when you bend like this, okay, when you bend this one like this in zigzag manner, right, what will changes? The face will not change. Okay, the face of this one, right, the plane section will not change, the area of this one will not change, only the behind of this one, the area will be changes. Okay, so that is a very first point, important point. Second, the bond between steel and concrete is perfect within elastic limit of the steel. Just I have explained you in the working stress method only. Bond between steel and concrete is what we can say, that is an elastic limit of the steel. Okay, within elastic limit of the steel. Third one, tensile strength of the concrete is ignored. Right, they will ignore the tensile strength, but it is very dangerous. You have to always don't ignore. They will, that is very important point or important consideration while designing the different structures. You have to consider the tensile strength, but here they are ignoring. That is one of the assumption. Concrete is elastic, right? They are saying that the concrete is elastic. That is the stress in concrete varies linearly from 0 at neutral axis to a maximum at the extreme fiber. Just I have told you about the diagram, right? This one they are telling concrete stress in concrete varies linearly from 0, here 0 at neutral axis, this is neutral axis, to a maximum at the extreme fiber. Okay, this is maximum, this also maximum. Okay, done. Now drawback means this is a disadvantage or limitations, we can say this is limitations of, okay, working stress. Now after reading the assumptions, you can easily tell that which is not the correct point. That is, the tensile strength is ignored, right? So they have to consider, and concrete is not elastic. Just I have told you already, concrete is not elastic. Okay, if you apply the load after removing, concrete will not regain it, that is shape and strength, shape as well as the area, right? So this is important point. Second one, difficult to account for shrinkage and creep in working stress method, right? So shrinkage, you know, the volume changes, right? Creep, you know, that is about the time dependent. This is time dependent. Okay, so this is about the assumption and drawback in working stress method. I think you got the correct explanation from my side. Okay, if you have any doubt, please comment me in the comment box. I will explain you one more time, don't worry. Now modular ratio in working stress method, right? Very important. Modular ratio, first of all understand what is this modular ratio. Modular ratio is defined as it is a ratio between the modulus of elasticity of the steel and the modulus of elasticity of the concrete. Simple way we can say, and it is denoted by M, right? So M is equal to ES by EC, right? This formula you have to remember, that is a ES by EC. So this is because of RCC is made up of both steel and concrete. In this case, steel is tension member and concrete is a compression member, you know. Concrete, always remember, concrete is good in what? Concrete is good in what? All of you please comment me in the comment box. Okay, concrete is good in which one? And concrete is not good in which one? Both you have to answer in the comment box, right? Okay, next one. Now you know what your modular ratio. So modular ratio using in different condition. There is some different what we can say conditions where we can use the modular ratio according to the condition, right? So we have three conditions. When no creep is considered, right? Creep is when no creep is considered. We have to use this formula, that is ES by EC. So what is the ES? That is the modulus of elasticity of the concrete. Sorry, first steel, right? We can say it is 2 into 10 raised to power 5 Newton per millimeter square divided by, right? EC is nothing but you already know 5000 root FCK is the what? The formula for this. If they given calculate the modular ratio, okay, where creep is not considered, you have to use this formula and you have to put the grade of the concrete here, and you have to calculate. Okay. Next, if they given creep is considered partially, means you have to use this formula, 280 by tau CBC. Okay, 280 by 3 into sigma CBC. So for sigma CBC, we can say that is in bending stresses, we can say, or there is an alternative for this formula also. You can do, there is a trick. Okay, divided by 1.5, 1.3 also, right? I think it is FCK by 1.3. I will this one I will confirm and I will tell you. Okay, there is 1.3 or 1.5. I mean, solve dilemma, right? Confusion. There is a confusion. Either it may be, okay. There is a short trick, that is FCK divided by 1.3. I think if you divide this one, you will get this value directly. Okay, sigma CBC. You don't need to remember the what on the tabular column. You have a tabular column for the bending stresses, right? That should be avoided easily. Now, when creep is considered, right? So if the creep is considered, this is what? This is ES, and this total portion is what we can say 5000 root FCK divided by 1 plus theta, where theta is an creep coefficient. This is creep coefficient. Already about this I have explained in my previous classes. If you want to see the tabular column as well as how this equation with this 5000 root FCK divided by 1 plus theta, you have to visit that class and you will get all details. Okay, let me move to the second method, that is a ultimate load design method. So what is the disadvantages we have faced in working stress method? So designers or scientists, what they did, how we have to remove that limitations. So what they did, the working loads are increased. What they did, they are increase the working load by suitable load factor to obtain the ultimate loads. See, there are two names coming. One is working load and second one is ultimate load. Okay, working load and ultimate load. Working load means we can say that is an only solo, means one, how much actual on actual structures, how much load is appearing, and what for the calculation you are taking that value, that is a working load. Ultimate load means you are giving some factors, right, or you are multiplying or you are adding something extra value for the safety purpose or serviceability purpose. That is, we call it as an ultimate load. Okay, so in ultimate load design, what they are doing, they are increasing the value using some what load factors. Using the load factors, they are increasing. So structure is then designed to resist the ultimate load. They are working in that working stress. What they did like the permissible stresses within the permissible stresses, right? The value should be within the permissible stresses. Here the ultimate load, right? Only changes is ultimate load. Non-linear stress strain behavior of the concrete is observed, right? So they are following the non-linear stress strain behavior of the concrete is observed. So only 3 points you have to remember about the ultimate load design method. Very simple. Now third one is very important, limit state method. So before explaining this, why they are taking the different methods? See, as time goes, everything is changing around us. We have to change according to the changes around us. So design purpose are changing, materials are changing, labor works are changing, right? So we have to again we have to change the design methods also. That's why in the first method, what are the limitations they got, they have overcome in the ultimate load. And in the second method, what are the limitations they got, they have to tried the remove in the limit state method. Okay, now in limit state, what is limit state? It is a state of impending failure beyond which a structure ceases to perform its intended function satisfactory in terms of either safety or serviceability. Here also they have did some limits, but not in the terms of stressors, but in the terms of materials. They have considered materials are important, right? Materials they have considered in the state of materials. State of impending failure beyond which a structure ceases to perform its intending function, satisfactory in terms of safety and serviceability. Okay, so this is the limit state. In limit state there are two different type of limit state. First one, limit state of collapse, another name is ultimate limit state. So what is this limit state of collapse or ultimate limit state? Means they have divided, right? So they have divided in two parts, that is limit state of collapse and limit state of serviceability. So you know what is the serviceability, but in this limit state of collapse, what they will do, they will deal with the strength, overturning, sliding, buckling, fatigue fractures, fatigue fractures. Means this is, we can say this is important while designing, because in the beginning of this video I have told you design philosophies, okay, design considerations. What we have to take, that is a strength, stability, right? So that they are taking consideration here, that is a strength, overturning, okay, the structure, right? Overturning, this is structure, right? This is the base of the foundation, right? Overturning means this one, you know, right? So you have to study the strength, overturning, sliding, right? In this direction there is a sliding, and buckling, fatigue fractures. So all these they will study in the limit state of collapse. In the upcoming videos you will study very in depth this method, limit state method. Okay, and adequate margin of safety, this is very important, shall be available for the normal overloading, right? In working stress what will happen, if you apply the load more than the permissible value, suddenly it will follow, or suddenly the structure will fail. In ultimate load also, if the value of the structure increases more than ultimate load, right, what will happen, the structure will collapse directly, no indication. But in limit state method it will give some time to react, to escape from that building, right? So it will give some time management, or we can say that is a safety shall be available for the normal overloading. Very important this point. Okay, next one, serviceability limit state or limit state of serviceability. So what you will deal with here, there is which deal with the discomfort to the occupancy and the malfunction caused by what, excessive deflection, crack width, vibration, leakage or loss of durability. So all these factors we will consider. Serviceability is nothing but simple way, who are using, we and you are using this building after the construction, right? What is the comfort level, okay? So what is the level of comfort they are taking, and is there any discomfort, or there should not be any type of discomfort to the users. So for that we have to study these points, that is the deflection, crack width, vibration, leakage or any loss of durability. Okay, so this is about the limit state method. And the last one, you know, that is a performance based method, right? Performance based is under research. This is under research. They are doing trial and error. Still they are not using this performance based method, right? But in future this is the main reason they are to use, because for the girders, for beams, for bridges, they are overcoming with the there are plenty of problems in designs while in limit state also. So those are they are trying to overcome using this performance based method. Okay, so thanks for the watching video. Please like, comment, whatever you have any doubt, please like, comment and share this video to your friends so that they can get the knowledge. And don't forget to subscribe our channel. Please subscribe our channel as well as to get the more videos. If you want any type of new videos, please join our Telegram channel. Right, Telegram channel name is Civil with Sudhir, and we have our Facebook group, right, KPSC AE study point. So you can join that one also. I am active on the Facebook, so you can join me on the social media also. Okay, my dear students and my dear friends, thanks for the watching video. Thank you all. Bye.